you found time to join us on this morning, Steve, and this is another segment that we look at. Mr. Lewis Chizu, who is the business entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and author. And today we'll be looking at a very, very interesting topic as we look at entrepreneurship as a trailblazer of the future. Mr. Chizu, thank you so much for joining us again today.
Thank you very much.
Indeed. First things first, looking at the topic that we're discussing today, entrepreneurship as a trailblazer of the future. For somebody who's joining us for the very first time on this interview, I would want to know, what is entrepreneurship?
Yes, Steve. It's important to bear in mind that entrepreneurship is meant for a group of people. It's not meant for every other person or every Jim and Jack. It is meant for a group of people that have the courage to take the risk in order to undertake private undertakings, so much so that they are able to gain livelihood out of it. This entails that you have to have the courage and the audacity, to find means of finding private capital, so much so that you are able to invest it into business activities which will be able to bear profit at the end of the day, so much that you are able to, maximize on the profits that you are making vis-a-vis the sustainability of the business is concerned. I think that is the other aspect of entrepreneurship.
Okay. Another link is the trailblazer from our topic under discussion. What is it?
Yes, very important question, Steve. Trailblazing of business entrepreneurship simply entails that, business undertakings, or rather business entrepreneurs, should become more of strategic planners in as far as path breaking is concerned, so much that they are able to come up with new and innovative ideas, unlike to copy the competition that exists amongst the business entrepreneurs who probably are involved in the same sector of the business. And that in itself entails that if companies or rather business entrepreneurship are able to have a different approach for their business undertakings, it is going to give them, an opportunity where they will be able to set their businesses in an exemplary manner, because they will be able to offer to the market a very unique offer and package to the target market, and in that way they will be able to attract more customers in as far as making preferences of purchases of their businesses is concerned, as well as customer retention. Because every business, Steve, I must tell you that it does survive on customer retention. Because if you cannot retain the customers to your business, then your business is doomed to fail. And I think that is a very important point vis-a-vis trailblazing in as far as entrepreneurship aspect is concerned.
So how can entrepreneurship be a trailblazer for the future?
Yes, equally a very important question, Steve. I think we all need to appreciate the fact that economic development of any country cannot exist in isolation without the participation of business entrepreneurship. Because you find that even the governance matters, they cannot, operate in isolation. Governance issues and business and economic matters are somehow inextricably intertwined, meaning that they do coexist. One cannot do without the other. So having said that, Steve, you also appreciate the fact that the importance of this business entrepreneurship trailblazing is the fact that we are talking about this period of time, Steve. I do know that this period of time around, political parties will start going for their campaigns, so much that they start lobbying for votes so that they can be given the mandate to go into office, or rather retain office. And one character that will be very pronounced about most of these political parties, vying for office, is the fact that they will need funds. They will need funding in order for them to produce, political regalias, promotional materials for their campaign, and etc., etc., in order for them to host the elections successfully. And one thing that you get to understand is the fact that they would need to turn to business entities in terms of, soliciting the funds. Besides looking to the donor community that is able to provide some funds in as far as hosting of successive elections are concerned. So that brings the importance of business entrepreneurship in the overall picture, because these are the business entities that are involved in making money. So therefore they have got the capacity to fund political parties so much that they can be ushered into governance, into office. And that in itself makes business entrepreneurship very, very, very important. And having said that, Steve, the other thing that I think all of us need to appreciate is the fact that we all know that in our environment, especially when you're talking of a country like Zambia, we have heard a lot of people complain of youth not having employment. There is high levels of unemployment amongst the youth, and entrepreneurship can provide the best alternative for employment creation amongst the youth as well as the unemployed Zambians. And beyond that fact, even the people that are employed already in the formal employment setup, they tend to suffer from a lot of uncertainties, and a lot of unpredictable situations. So they should also have the confidence to say that entrepreneurship still stands as the best alternative in as far as employment creation is concerned. And Steve, let me just clarify one point. When I talked about elections as well as employment creation, you find that, especially that I must tell you that I'm one of the candidates that are aspiring for Lusaka Central Constituency, Member of Parliament, and I'm contesting on Patriotic Front within the party. And from the time that I made my intentions known, I've made lots of people asking me to say, what is your stance about political violence?
Why should entrepreneurship now be used as a trailblazer to the country's future economic development?
Yes, I would digress a bit. Before I get to answer that question, I simply, you had to cut my thought. The point that I wanted to clarify is the fact that I've been questioned a lot about my stance on the political violence of the cadres. And the point that I wanted to clarify is the fact that, political violence amongst the youth within political parties is because most of them have nothing to do. And you find that maybe a certain leader within the party gives them a small token and it directs them to say go and incite violence and havoc. But if these young people are empowered with entrepreneurship, you find that they are going to be very busy and they are not going to have a time to engage into violence activities, and they might not be in position of accepting such offers from whoever gives them. You see, and that is the other importance of trailblazing in terms of business entrepreneurship. We must chart our waters in the future in terms of making sure that we embrace this business entrepreneurship empowerment, so that even the youth might not, lead wasted lives in terms of, being used as tools of violence. And I think that, entrepreneurship, trailblazing is the best option and is the best solution in as far as empowering the youth so that they can be kept busy and, be in position of helping and contributing to the development of the economic of this country as it were, Steve.
Okay, now back to my question. Why should we use entrepreneurship as a trailblazing towards the country's future economic development?
Yeah. Getting to that question that you said, I think it's important that we trailblaze this. You have seen that, Steve, I'm sure you agree with me, that most of the countries, not only in underdeveloped countries, third world countries, but also in already developed countries, advanced nations, most of the countries that are doing very well in as far as economic performance is concerned, they are those countries that have given the private sector to become the main engine, or rather the main driver of the economic development, because that is where most of the innovative ideas are found. That's where most of the productive people are found, because every minute and every hour that goes, it must be accounted for. There is no laissez-faire approach in as far as undertaking activities of work as well as their duties are concerned. You see, so from that point of view, you find that the trailblazing of entrepreneurship, if it was put to be the main driver of the economy of our country, as it were, you find that our country will start performing very well. Because people are not going to raise around, because they know that they must account whether the business that they are undertaking is making profit or not. If it is not making profit, they must be able to answer why is it not making profit. And if they can't answer that question, they will be taken to task to make sure that they are forced now to start rethinking and thinking anew, becoming more creative. And when I talked about trailblazing for the future, Steve, what it entails is the fact that business managers should go beyond the rational as well as the logical thinking and approach to strategic management of their business entrepreneurship. They must come to a level where now that they even start using their feelings as well as their intuitions and their emotions in order to come up with something that has never been there before in terms of innovations, in terms of creativity, in terms of bringing a value addition to things that have never been there before. It's like you are trying to break new grounds and bring something to the table that is going to create new value and value addition to the lives of the people. And I think the answer lies in business entrepreneurship, because if we cannot empower business entrepreneurship to become the trailblazers for the future as well as the way the future businesses are going to be conducted, then I think our economies are going to start dragging. And having said that, Steve, the other thing that we all need to appreciate is the fact that this aspect of entrepreneurship that we are talking about has got so much to offer. If only people can be empowered vis-a-vis by the government, who are policy implementers, coming up with a lot of initiatives that will be able to empower businesses, as it were. Like you heard the pronouncements that our current president made in as far as empowering women are concerned on gender issues, by opening a bank that will be able to lend the finances to women, as it were, as one way of empowering them in business. And this will make a lot of women now to become financially viable in as far as the contributions to our economy are concerned. And I think this is the way we must go.
I think you've talked a lot about the importance of trailblazing and entrepreneurship. But if we don't take this into consideration as a country, what do you think will be the implications towards our economic development?
The implications are quite, there will be a lot of negative ramifications in as far as, the pace at which our economy is supposed to move. Like I've said, Steve, you have seen that even the current performance of our economy is not doing well. The economic indicators are pointing to recession. You have seen the inflation rate is quite bad. When you talk about the interest rates of the banks are quite haphazard. You're talking of 40%, which is not a good indicator of a good performing economy, and something must be done about it. And now, given a situation where you have a lot of businesses that are performing very well, there will be the factors of basic economics of what you call supply and demand, because you'll have more entrepreneurship, businesses doing very well, production being very high, having a lot of products floated on the market. That in itself will be able to force the prices to get down, as it were. And even when you have a lot of businesses producing on the market, you have a lot of exports that will force the fluctuation in terms of the skyrocketing of the increment of the dollar and the pounds to get down, and the economy in that will start performing very well. And you must understand, Steve, that these are basic principles of economics. When you have a strong performing currency, it means that it is bad news for the exporters, but it is good news for local entrepreneur companies, and that makes it very viable, and in as far as the performance of the economy is concerned.
When should we use entrepreneurship as a trailblazer? Is it an urgent matter? And if so, being an election year, what do you think is the best that our leaders can do?
Yes, Steve, I'll tell you, it is an urgent matter. Trailblazing becomes very important because the trailblazing simply entails that you are not only trying to meet the current needs of today of a customer, but you are also strategically planning for the future, knowing that you have met today's customer needs, but what about tomorrow? Because if you do not have that foresight to see tomorrow, then your business might not be sustainable. Even your economy might not perform well, because any economy that is performing well in the world and any business that is performing well, it must have a strategic sense to know that, okay, tomorrow's customer needs are likely to change in this way. The tastes are likely to change, and how are we going to reposition ourselves in order to respond to not only the competing demands on the market, but also to the demands of such a particular period of time of a customer? And you have asked another question to say, what should the government do about it? I think the government has got, an enormous task which it has to perform. And the enormous task that which it has to perform is it has got to find proper incentives, good incentives to give to the business entrepreneurship as one way of boosting, the entrepreneurship sector, in as far as, the activities of propelling this economy to go forward is concerned. And what I mean is that the government must formulate proper policies that are going to support the business operations in this country, so much that businesses themselves, small businesses, will be positioned in a position where they will be able to expand and grow at an accelerated pace, as it were, and be able to have local investors who are business entrepreneurship, turning from where they started as small business entrepreneurs to owning much bigger companies, so that the local Zambians themselves can now become the people who could start controlling their own economy. I will tell you the major reason why, Steve, Nigeria is a big economy in Africa. The reason is simple. It's because Nigerians themselves, they are the ones who own most of the bigger companies within Nigeria, meaning that they have got the capacity to control the economy, because everything that happens remains within the country, because all the bigger companies are owned by the local businessmen themselves. And if that was the situation that we could have in Zambia, I think our economy can be performing very well. But what has made our economy to be dwindling is because most of the bigger companies are owned by foreigners. And these foreigners, mostly when they make money and they make profits, they take the monies back to their countries where they are coming from, and they leave us dwindling in the doldrums, of the economy, instead of our economy booming, as it were.
Your concluding remark as we come to the very end of the interview?
Yes, my concluding remark is that we shouldn't fear to try new things, because it's about trying new things, breaking new grounds, charting new waters, that we discover things that we didn't know. At the same time, life brings to us things that will be able to bring value, addition to our lives. I think my appeal that I'm able to make out there is that let's have the courage, the audacity of hope, to make sure that we try things that have never been tried before, so that we challenge the future, and by challenging the future, we create the future that we desire. It is up to you and me, Steve, to create the future that we desire, and the future that will make us up, and the future that will make us satisfied to say, this is the Zambia that all of us have dreamed of. And I should tell you, Steve, that I'm one kind of a person who dream of a Zambia where one day we'll be able to live not grappling with the every day with the underdevelopment issues, poverty issues, but I dream of a Zambia where you and I and every Zambian out there will be able to achieve self-actualization needs and self-esteem needs, so that you and I and our children and our great-grandchildren, nobody will ever sleep on a single day with an empty stomach without eating because somebody never provided a job for them, or the government didn't have an alternative means of providing a job.
All right,
for them.
Mr. Chizo,
I think
I have
that
to
is
cut
very
you from
important.
there because
Thanks very much. Thanks very much
we
for
have to
having
end
me.
it here. We were looking at entrepreneurship as a trailblazer for the future, and I'm your usual host, Stephen Nkoma. We also managed to feature Mr. Lewis Chizu, a business entrepreneur, motivational speaker, and an author. Thank you so much that you could find time to join us. Until next time, it's bye-bye.
You're still watching CBC Business Morning. Let's now take a look at the forex table as provided by Zambia National Commercial Bank, ZANACO. The United States dollar is buying at 11 kwacha 23 ngwe and selling at 11 kwacha 44 ngwe, as you can see on your screen. The Great British Pound is buying at 16 kwacha 17 ngwe and selling at 16 kwacha 46 ngwe. The euro is buying at 12 kwacha 64 ngwe and selling at 12 kwacha 87 ngwe. The South African rand is buying at 73 ngwe and selling at 75 ngwe. Let's now take a look at the commodities table as compiled by Bloomberg News. Copper prices on the London Metal Exchange traded at $5,064, up by 0.89% from the previous trading day's price. Crude oil Brent was traded at $41.70 per barrel, down by 0.89%, as you can see on your screen. Gold COMEX was traded at $1,255.20 an ounce, down by 0.88% from the previous trading day's price.